In today's video, I'll talk about the best air fryer under $100. Shopping for a basket-style air fryer online? Yeah, it can feel like a totally overwhelming challenge. With just countless options flooding the market, how can you possibly tell which one is the fastest, the most versatile, or just the right fit for your kitchen? Well, that's exactly what we're here to uncover in this explainer. We're going to cut through the noise using rigorous, real-world testing, and we'll take a deep dive into both user and professional reviews. Our mission? To find the absolute best countertop companion for your hard-earned cash.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Meet the contenders. 2. Design and usability. 3. The performance tests. 4. Professional versus user reviews. And 5. The final verdict.
Section 1. Meet the contenders. Evaluating the heavyweights.
Okay, let's dive right in and meet the specific models we're evaluating today. Breaking down the raw specs side by side, you start to see some immediate differences. The Ninja Air Fryer Pro is the most expensive of the bunch, at roughly $130, offering a 5-quart capacity and 4 basic presets. Then you have the Instant Vortex Plus hitting right at our $100 budget with a slightly smaller 4-quart basket and 6 presets. But the Cosori TurboBlaze, it really stands out. Not only is it the most affordable at about $95, but it boasts the largest capacity at 6 quarts, a whopping 10 presets, and get this, a maximum temperature of 450 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a full 50 degrees hotter than its rivals. Keep that max temp in mind, by the way, because it's going to become very important later on.
Section 2. Design and usability. The countertop experience.
So, having seen the specs, let's shift gears and talk about the user experience. Because, let's face it, a kitchen appliance is literally only as good as how it actually feels and fits into your daily routine. Comparing the physical interfaces, the Instant Vortex Plus really outshines the Ninja Pro. It features this super bright, easy-to-read LED display and an incredibly intuitive quick-turn dial that just makes setting time and temp a total breeze. Plus, the buttons are entirely seamless and wipeable. The Ninja, on the other hand, utilizes a dim, somewhat retro clock-like LED that can be a bit tough to read in a bright kitchen. And worse, its buttons actually have cracks and grooves, meaning they are basically dirt magnets for trapped kitchen grease.
Now, what's really interesting is how the Cosori TurboBlaze tackles design. It features a massive, completely wipeable glass display mounted directly on the top of the unit, so absolutely no crevices for grime to hide in. It also includes a really smart safety locking drawer release, which is great for preventing accidental spills. Of course, accommodating that 6-quart capacity does mean it's going to have the largest footprint on your counter. But honestly, the sheer autonomy provided by its 10 distinct cooking modes, along with adjustable fan speeds, just gives you a massive amount of control over the whole cooking experience.
Section 3. The performance tests. Chicken, broccoli, and fries.
But hey, pretty screens and wipeable buttons don't feed a hungry family, right? Let's initiate the grueling gauntlet of real-world food testing to see which of these machines actually delivers on flavor, texture, and speed. We're kicking things off with a big question. Which fryer can conquer the classic, yet often tricky, chicken breast? We're looking for speed, juiciness, and a perfect internal temperature of 165 degrees without drying out the edges. The differences in cooking times are honestly pretty stark when you start from a completely cold fryer. The Cosori TurboBlaze totally lived up to its turbo name, blazing through the test to reach 165 degrees in just over 6 minutes, yielding a super tender and juicy piece of chicken. The Ninja Pro? It took about 8.5 minutes, which left the meat just a bit drier around the edges. But the Instant Vortex Plus took a full 13 minutes. And because the meat was exposed to the heat for so much longer, it resulted in a surprisingly tough piece of chicken that, frankly, you wouldn't want to serve to guests.
Now, here's the thing. The crucial point isn't just about the food, it's about the environment while you're cooking it. 77.4 decibels, that specific number perfectly illustrates the loud, intrusive noise level of the Ninja Pro while it's running. It literally makes carrying on a normal conversation in your kitchen difficult. Contrasting that, the Instant Vortex operates at a beautifully quiet 70 decibels, with the Cosori right behind it at a very manageable 71.7. If you have an open concept living space, trust me, that noise difference is absolutely massive.
Moving right along to our veggie and fry tests, the results were a fascinating mixed bag. The Ninja proved to be, well, aggressively mediocre, delivering dry, raw-tasting broccoli and unevenly cooked fries. The Instant Vortex, however, provided this totally bizarre contrast. It roasted the absolute perfect tender crisp broccoli, but when it came to frozen Costco fries, it produced a tragic, soggy mess with zero crunch.
And the Cosori? Well, it left the broccoli just slightly undercooked compared to the instant, but it totally redeemed itself by delivering perfectly crispy French fries with wonderfully soft, fluffy interiors.
Section 4. Professional versus user reviews. A clash of opinions. Now that we have our own data, it's time to introduce a fascinating little twist in our narrative because, as it turns out, not everyone agrees on how the Cosori TurboBlaze performs in the real world. We're looking at a genuine clash between professional tech journalists and everyday household users. Let's start with the pros. TechRedar's editorial review of the Cosori found the machine to be a bit of a roller coaster, stating they experienced highly inconsistent results. While they did praise its ability to cook chicken, they specifically emphasized their struggles with uneven cooking, resulting in burnt and undercooked chips and disappointing vegetables. Ultimately, they felt the performance just didn't justify the price tag.
But then we look to the community. Here, we can juxtapose that professional publications review with an authentic, highly detailed Reddit user test from the air fryer community. This user actually brought home both the Cosori TurboBlaze and the Instant Vortex Plus to test them side by side for a full week. And get this, their findings completely contradict the narrative presented by TechRadar.
Let's break down this Reddit user's glowing praise. They found that the Cosori's DC motor isn't just marketing hype, it genuinely gets hot incredibly fast. Remember that 450-degree capability we mentioned earlier? Well, the user noted it made a massive difference, objectively outperforming their Instant Vortex by yielding superior browning. In their side-by-side tests, the Cosori finished chicken wings a full 7 minutes faster with crispier skin, and delivered perfectly crisp tofu in just 11 minutes, compared to the Instant taking 17.
This clash of opinions perfectly highlights the inherent subjectivity of appliance testing. When we objectively compare the compliance from both sides, they're entirely different. TechRadar focused heavily on uneven cooking and inaccurate recipe booklets. The Reddit user, on the other hand, had absolutely zero issues with the cooking performance itself. Instead, their complaints were entirely sensory: a smelly plastic burn-off period during the first few cooks, a slightly annoying high-pitched sound from the fan, and a relatively plain aesthetic design compared to the sleek Instant Vortex. It just goes to show how wildly different user priorities can shape a review.
Section 5. The final verdict. Tallying the scores.
So, where does this all leave us? It's time to bring all the testing data, the physical specs, and these wildly conflicting reviews together to calculate our final standings. Looking at our aggregated scorecard, out of 5 points per category, the picture becomes quite clear. The Ninja Pro scores the lowest overall. Its loud operation, dry cooking results, and higher price tag of $130 just make it really hard to recommend in this lineup. The Instant Vortex Plus takes a very respectable second place, earning high marks for its intuitive interface and super quiet operation, though it does lose some points for longer cook times and a smaller basket. But sweeping top marks across the board, that goes to the Cosori TurboBlaze. Ultimately, choosing between our two finalists really comes down to what you prioritize in your kitchen. The Instant Vortex undeniably wins if you want a whisper, quiet operation and a highly aesthetic, premium-feeling user interface. However, the Cosori TurboBlaze, despite its slightly plain looks and a louder fan, simply cannot be beaten on pure value. It offers the largest capacity, the fastest cooking times, and arguably the crispiest results, all while coming in entirely under our $100 budget. Which brings us to the ultimate question for your own home. When push comes to shove, do you value a silent, beautiful appliance that perfectly blends into your decor? Or are you willing to trade a little aesthetic flair to get the absolute fastest, crispiest chicken possible on a busy Tuesday night? Think about how you actually cook, because the right answer is the one that works best for you. Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and happy cooking.